Guys, we need to talk about Nintendo. Nintendo this year has been an absolute train wreck, and this year in particular, they have proven themselves to be the single most pathetic, out of touch, anti consumer video game company on the face of the earth. I've had a lot of feelings about Nintendo as a company ever since 3D All Stars got announced, but in light of recent events, I think it's time that I finally put them into video form so I can properly speak up about it. I've been a lifelong fan of Nintendo. I've been a fan of Nintendo pretty much ever since like 2006 when the Wii and the 3DS or the DS were a thing. Uh I'm literally wearing a Mario shirt right now. So I wrote out an outline for this video of points I want to go over. It's pretty scripted, but some of it is gonna be kind of a rant, and I'm not gonna put too much effort into reading this. I'm editing this. I'm also currently recording this on my phone right now because it's way higher quality than my laptop camera. So anyway, the audio quality is going to be a little worse than usual since I can't hook up my microphone, but yeah. Anyway, I want to start this video off by rewinding all the way back to my childhood because it feels like Nintendo wasn't always like this, you know? It's always kind of felt like Nintendo was this big family-friendly company that made amazing games and can do no wrong, right? So I started getting into Nintendo around 2006 or so, like I said, when I was like 8 years old. I got the DS and the Wii for Christmas. I forget if it was the same year, but I remember getting them both for. I think I got the DS for Christmas and then the Wii for my birthday, like a month later. And for those magical first few years, I was playing games like Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Wii Music, Big Brain Academy, whatever that game is, Brain Age. I loved Brain Age, Mario Kart Wii, like all these other games. I mean, all the other people in my elementary school and middle school and whatever were playing like Call of Duty and Halo and stuff, but I didn't care about those games because I was having the time of my life playing Nintendo. So Nintendo also had these awesome ad campaigns back then, like the "We would like to play" with those two like Japanese guys. I thought those commercials were amazing. Their Nintendo marketing back then was genuinely really good. And as soon as I saw like people swinging the Wii remote around to like play tennis and stuff on the commercials, I was like, oh my god, I need to get this. It looks so cool. So yeah, again, I had this idea of Nintendo just being this big like family-friendly company that made amazing games and had this amazing console called the Wii and the DS with the touchscreen, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. This is like the future. Um, so I had fun with Nintendo for a while. I was playing a bunch of Nintendo games. I mean, of course, I was also playing stuff on the Xbox 360, but I was never really like a big gamer. I was playing stuff casually. I was playing like Rock Band and DJ Hero and stuff on the Xbox. But fast forward to June 2015. I was 17 at the time. So I was like finishing up high school back then. And June 2015, that was the month of E3. And I always look forward to E3. Nintendo usually has these big bombastic presentations where they reveal like the next revolutionary games that are going to come out within the next year or so. So E3 2015, they had the Nintendo World Championships. That was pretty great. That was fun. That was cool to watch. And I think John Numbers won that one, so that was pretty cool. But unfortunately, um, even though people were expecting a strong lineup of games for 2015 because the Wii U was about halfway through its life, people were expecting like strong games because they hadn't really delivered on that so far. Unfortunately, Nintendo gave us one of the single most disappointing E3 presentations from any company ever. They had a few good games, sure. They had like Tokyo, Mirage Sessions, FE, and things like that. But the things that they did with their main IPs were just incredible slaps in the faces to everyone who genuinely enjoyed those franchises, right? We got a new Star Fox. Yay! And then it was Star Fox Zero, which effectively killed the Star Fox franchise. We got a new Metroid Prime game, which fans had been waiting for years, except it wasn't an actual main Metroid Prime game. It was Federation Force for the 3DS, which nobody cares about anymore. And we got a new Mario Tennis game, which was pretty cool, except it was Ultra Smash, which was one of the worst received Nintendo games ever. It's literally just tennis, but reskinned with Mario. Ultra Smash basically was just they put in this mode with like giant mushrooms where it would alternate between sides, and it would just, the advantage would be to whichever side got the giant mushroom. So it was never fun. It was very repetitive and boring. And it was just the most bare bones thing they could have made. We got a new Animal Crossing game. Actually, we got two new Animal Crossing games. We got Happy Home Designer, which apparently was pretty good. But then we got one of the single most tone-deaf Nintendo games ever, which was Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. It was specifically made to sell Amiibo. You could not play the game unless you owned Animal Crossing Amiibo. And it was like, what kind of cash grab is this, Nintendo? What are you doing? This game isn't even like that enjoyable. Why are you making us buy Amiibo just to play it? So I don't really have a problem with Amiibo right now. Like, I own a few Amiibo, but at the time, it was like Nintendo was trying to get rid of all these Amiibo because they were like some kind of hazardous waste and they were gonna blow up Nintendo HQ or something like that. So, and then also we got, I forget if that was the same year, but I think we got Chibi Robo Ziplash in that E3 also, which was, that completely killed Chibi Robo. Like, they just stopped caring about Chibi Robo after that because they were like, oh, this game got review bombed by like everyone. And then only a month after E3, Satoru Iwata passed away, and with his passing, that felt like the beginning of the end for that image that I had of Nintendo being that amazing company that could do no wrong. Because it was like, Iwata prioritized fun. I'm pretty sure he was the person that said, like, I forget if it was him or Miyamoto, but one of them said, like, if the game is rushed, then it will be forever bad, but if it's delayed, then they'll have to wait longer for a good game. So Satoru Iwata's passing away was very unfortunate, and I think that really marked a shift in the way Nintendo operated. Excuse me. So fast forward one more time to 2020, current year. This year alone, let me list off all the insane anti-consumer, just why would you even do this decisions that Nintendo has made this year. So, first of all, Nintendo released a $60 collection of 3D Mario games for the Switch. 3 of their best games ever: Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. All 3 of these games were not remade. They were straight up just emulated. And they didn't even let you play Sunshine with a GameCube controller until the most recent patch, a feature that should have been available on launch. And they made this a limited time release. This is literally the only way you can legally play Mario 64. Or actually, no, the only legal way you can play Mario Sunshine, because they did have Mario 64 on the Virtual Console. And the thing is, Nintendo, it's ironic because Nintendo has said, like, oh, emulation is bad, and then they literally go ahead and sell you 3 emulated games for full price. But that's not the point. So Nintendo ended up offering a cease and desist to a fan-made Mario Battle Royale, and then just recently, along with Mario 3D World, or 3D All-Stars, sorry, they made their own Mario Battle Royale, Super Mario 35. And again, this is a limited release. This is only available until, I think, March. So why? What's the point? I don't understand. If you're gonna rip off like a fan-made Battle Royale, why only do it for a limited time? That's just a slap in the face to the people who made that. Then, also this year, Nintendo released a statement saying, like, oh, the Joy-Con drift problem isn't that big of a deal. Yet, there is so big of an issue that they literally offered to fix your Joy-Cons for free. My Joy-Cons were drifting badly. I sent them in a Nintendo. They did it for free. It was a problem for me. And now even my Pro Controller is drifting a little bit. And now they're getting, like, potentially class action sued for this, since it's so big of an issue, which I am really happy about. I'm glad someone is, like, actually taking legal action, because honestly, it's ridiculous how faulty their hardware is. So now, they, in October, I think, I forget specifically when, but they announced Pikmin 3 Deluxe Edition for the Switch. But after they announced that, they removed Pikmin 3 entirely from the Wii U eShop. Now, I own Pikmin 3. I got it on release day because I just happened to be in a Target that day, and I'm about, like, halfway done with the game. But still, why would you... Like, Nintendo was trying so hard to pretend that the Wii U never existed. I think they did add Pikmin 3 back to the Wii U eShop after that backlash, but that was still a really stupid thing to do. And then, recently, just a few days ago, Nintendo gives a cease and desist to the Big House for trying to run Slippy, which, if you didn't know already, is a mod of Super Smash Bros. Melee that allows you to play the game online with rollback netcode. It was coded by one guy named Fizzy, who literally quit his job in order to work on this thing full time for, I think, like, almost a year, or maybe like 6 months or something like that. But this one person was able to code a better online experience than Nintendo has for their own main Smash game, Smash Ultimate. Smash Ultimate Online is garbage. I have so many problems with Ultimate Online. The entire Smash Ultimate community has problems with it. There is 5 frames of input delay baked in to Smash Ultimate Online, assuming the best possible connection. If you don't have a LAN adapter and, like, incredible internet, you are screwed. You are not having a good time. I mean, they did shave off, like, a frame of input lag in 1v1 arenas, but it still doesn't really do that much. And it's honestly really embarrassing that this AAA studio gets outdone by one person on a almost 20-year-old game. And you know what happened right after Nintendo cease and desisted the Big House, or the Big House, like, released their statement saying that they're canceling their event? Right after that, Nintendo DMCA'd a Twitch streamer for trying to stream Age of Calamity like 30 minutes before it released worldwide. 30 minutes before it released worldwide. Do you understand how crazy and stupid that is? It released in, I think, Europe. I know it released in Europe at the time and probably Japan, but not America as far as I'm aware. And this streamer got DMCA'd immediately. I think the person who was streaming it was from Europe, and I think it was released in Europe at the time. So the fact that Nintendo was like waiting for it to release everywhere to let people stream it, even though it had already released in the country that the streamer was from, is really, really ridiculous, and I do not understand that decision at all. So with all this going on, I got to thinking, like, what happened to Nintendo? What are they doing? Why do they keep consistently, time after time, making all these ridiculous anti-consumer decisions? Have they always been this way? Well, the truth is, yes, they always have. And let me tell you why. Since the Wii era, a big problem with Nintendo is that they have refused to accept that online play is a thing, or they want to do online play their way. This is just one of many things that Nintendo tries to do their way, despite like trends and things that consumers actually want. They always want to go with their wishes alone because they are so incredibly out of touch with the actual gaming community. But the point is, they were so willing or so unwilling to get into online because they were afraid of like little Timmy getting cursed out by a 24-year-old in his basement playing Mario Kart. Because I guess they saw what was happening with like Call of Duty and Halo, like people constantly like sending literal hate speech to each other over like Xbox voice chat. Oh my god. So the Wii Online was like horrendously bad, especially with like Super Smash Bros. Brawl. You hear all the stories about Brawl players like suffering through garbage connections just to play online. Now, in 2020, they're charging you $20 a year for a service that offers you less functionality than Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. They're selling you $20 for garbage Smash Ultimate Online. They're selling you an online subscription for $20 that, like, it gives you voice chat, but you have to use this garbage app to do so, and nobody even wants to use that. And then we can get into the Wii U. The Wii U, so I own the Wii U. I was okay with the Wii U. I thought it was a decent console. It had a few good games on there, but it did not succeed for Nintendo whatsoever. And ironically, this wasn't because they branched out and decided to experiment and do things their way because they're Nintendo. But ironically, it was because they didn't branch out. They did the exact opposite. They went the safe route. They went with like a sequel to the Wii, except it has a gamepad now and it has a screen on it, and that's the new gimmick this time. So they just assumed that people who bought the Wii would buy the Wii U because it's like, oh, look, it's a new Nintendo console. It has Wii in the title. But their marketing for the Wii U was so laughably horrible. They marketed it like exclusively to children. They sold it as like a family console. And that was the complete opposite of what their audience actually was. People who were not into gaming didn't even know that this was a new console. They thought it was just like an expansion to the Wii or something like that. And now, like I said before, Nintendo is trying so hard to pretend the Wii U never existed. They're selling all these enhanced versions of Wii U games, which is kind of appreciated because now we can play them on the Switch. But at the same time, they're selling you these for full price as if they're brand new games. And if you're someone like me who already owns Pikmin 3, who owns New Super Mario Bros. U, who owns Super Mario 3D World, along with all those other ports, this is a giant, like, FU, because I have to basically buy these games a second time if I want to play them on the Switch. And that's just stupid. It might have more content, but I don't know. It's just kind of unfortunate that there's no like backwards compatibility. It kind of sucks. It really does. And now let me talk about how stingy Nintendo is with their IPs, because I have never, ever in my life seen a company, or at least a video game company, be as stringent with their own property as Nintendo is. Nintendo is literally the Disney of video games. They are technically within their legal rights to do whatever they want with their IPs. It's their property. They have the legal right to say, like, hey, you can't do this with our IP. But I have never seen a company go to these lengths in order to control how people play their games. They specifically want people to play games the way they intend, and if other people don't do that, then they shut it down. Not long ago, I forget what specific year it was, but I think it was sometime around like 2014, 2015, they were trying to take away all of the ad revenue from YouTubers who were making videos about their games and giving them free advertising. YouTube is literally how Nintendo games get advertised nowadays. I find out about Nintendo games and how good they are through YouTube. If I don't watch like YouTube reviews on a Nintendo game, then I don't really know how good it is, and I don't know if I should buy it or not. So the fact that Nintendo was trying to do this, and they had the audacity to set up a Nintendo partner program where they were still taking a majority of the ad revenue, that was so incredibly anti-consumer and out of touch, and they got a huge amount of backlash for that, and they ended up reversing the decision. Now Nintendo just lets you do whatever they want with their IPs on YouTube. But we can't forget that Nintendo tried to do this in the first place. Like, we can't let them live that down. And that leads me into the entire reason I decided to make this video in the first place after like 20 minutes of me ranting about Nintendo. So I have no idea why, for over a decade, Nintendo has been actively trying to shut down one of their biggest and most passionate communities, one of the most passionate esports scenes out there ever, and that is the competitive Smash community. So let me run you through a timeline of everything Nintendo has done to shut down any attempt at all by this community to do what they want and be independent of Nintendo. So, 2006, the year the Wii came out, Major League Gaming, one of the biggest competitive gaming circuits of all time, they're famous for running those big early Melee tournaments where you had people like PC Chris and Isaiah and Ken and all those guys competing against each other. So they were trying to feature Melee in their circuit as usual. They were about to stream the Melee portion of their event in Orlando, and Nintendo said, no, we can't let you do that. So they had to send out a message to everybody saying, sorry guys, this Melee event isn't going to be streamed. This is really unfortunate news, but we can't do anything about it. Fast forward to 2010. 2010 is MLG was trying again to feature a Smash game in their circuit, but this time it was Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which came out in 2008, I believe. So, business as usual. MLG had been featuring Melee for years. This shouldn't really be a problem, but Nintendo, for some reason, again, decided to step in and say, no, you can't stream this. So, because of that, MLG didn't let Brawl be part of its circuit for the entire rest of their existence. Brawl was just permanently pulled. Fast forward to 2013. This is probably the biggest instance of Nintendo trying to just kill competitive Smash, right? So I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this at this point, but EVO 2013, the biggest fighting game tournament of the year, announced that the community who raised the most amount of money for their game for charity, I think it was for a breast cancer charity, will get their game featured in EVO's main lineup. So this was a big deal. If your game's community could raise a ton of money, not only would it all be going to charity, but it would guarantee your game gets on the EVO stage, which is a huge amount of publicity. So, of course, the Super Smash Bros. Melee scene, being as passionate as they were, they went ahead and raised over $100,000 for charity, and they were in the lead. They were in the lead by like a landslide. So EVO came out and announced, hey guys, congratulations, you made it into EVO, you raised the most money. And Melee fans were understandably really excited. It was like, wow, we finally got a chance to showcase ourselves at EVO. I think this was also after Brawl was featured at EVO, but it was with items on, which was a huge disaster. Nobody liked that, and then they just decided to stop running Smash at EVO altogether. So Melee was like, hey, you know what? We can get into EVO again. And so that's exactly what they did. But, of course, Nintendo, being Nintendo, rushes in and says, hey, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. Calm down there. You guys can't stream this game. And so, understandably, there was a huge amount of pushback from not only Melee fans, but just like the entire gaming community. News sites were making headlines like Nintendo shuts down Melee event at EVO for charity. And the charity part was a huge deal. That got people really upset because people were like, they're shutting down a charity event? What the hell are you doing, Nintendo? And so because of this, there was a massive amount of backlash, and so within only 5 hours or so, Nintendo was like, all right, fine, you guys can stream it, we don't care, just leave us alone. And so Melee got to be at EVO, they got a huge amount of publicity, and Melee has been an EVO mainstay up until, I think, last year's EVO, where they just decided to run Ultimate, unfortunately. But I think Melee would have straight up died had Nintendo succeeded in shutting that down. Melee would be nowhere near as big as it is now if it hadn't actually got into EVO in 2013. But anyway, fast forward 2 years, 2015. MLG runs another event. They successfully run Melee and Smash 4 at MLG in 2015. Infamously, that was the year that Nairo beat Zero for the first time. It's kind of unfortunate to talk about it now because both of them are like banned from the community. But the reason MLG never ran another Smash event in their circuit was because Nintendo apparently wanted to charge a $50,000 licensing fee per event, ridiculously big amount of money. And that's more than double the licensing fee for more modern games like Street Fighter 4. So also in 2015, this is also one of the biggest instances of Nintendo straight up trying to shut down competitive Smash. But the development team for Project M, which was, if you don't already know, it was a popular mod for Brawl that made the game play a lot like Melee, and it added new stages and skins and everything. The development team for that game abruptly announced that they were ceasing operations. VG Boot Camp, which was the biggest Smash streamer at the time, they still kind of are. They announced that they weren't going to stream Project M anymore due to legal concerns, because they were concerned that Nintendo was going to like shut them down for streaming like an illegal mod. And then multiple big streamers just stopped streaming Project M altogether, and it basically killed the game. Project M stopped being as popular. Like, no one streamed it anymore. No one wanted to like play it anymore. But according to a twitlonger that recently came out from Linnea Caps, formerly known as Smash Caps, and I'll link it in like the description or put a card somewhere so you can read that twitlonger. But apparently Twitch was offering money to streamers to stop streaming Project M. And all the bribery from Twitch was a result of pressure from Nintendo, because at the time, Nintendo was in talks with Twitch to actually hold a Smash circuit, and they didn't want to get involved with any mods of their games, because that was seen as like, oh, illegal. They're trying to use like illegal copies of Brawl to mod it and play Project M. But the biggest slap in the face to the Project M community was that the circuit that caused this whole thing never actually became a thing. This was all based on a lie. Nintendo announced Smash Ultimate without telling Twitch about their plans, and that ruined everything for Twitch and for the Project M community. Not only did Nintendo shut down this Smash circuit, they didn't go through, according to another anonymous twitlonger, which I'll also link in the description, but Nintendo shut down events and circuits that were planned to be run by E-League, HTC, and ESL, among other things. I think apparently like even Dr. Pepper was trying to run a Smash event. And I think we can assume that that thing that Nintendo or Ninja had cooking for the Smash community was probably shut down by Nintendo. I'm also not 100% sure if this is true, but even Ludwig apparently said that the Smash World Tour that was going to be held this year was going to be shut down by Nintendo before COVID even became a thing. And they were forced to shut it down anyway, because, you know, they can't safely run events. The ironic thing about all this is that all these organizations were willing to throw money at Nintendo. Thousands of dollars they were offering Nintendo with these circuits. Normally, the company, the developer, is willing to put up money for a circuit and work with these organizations, and they can be like, oh, hey, we're both going to put in this amount of money. But these companies were willing to just do all the work for Nintendo, and Nintendo still said no. And it makes no sense to me at all. It's free advertising, it's free marketing for Smash, and Nintendo is still lying to them about going through with these circuits. They're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll totally do this with you, and then they never end up going through with it. And Project M was a casualty of this, and I think they should be rightfully pissed off at Nintendo for it. Now, Nintendo is giving a cease and desist to the Big House. Wait, so before I get into that, I should mention that Nintendo likes to claim that they support the competitive Smash scene, right? They acknowledge that it exists. They make posts about the tournaments on Nintendo Versus. They invited players to play demos of their new games at E3. And they even made a video about Nairo before they had to take it down because he got outed. But you know what really happens when Nintendo partners with a tournament? They demand that TOs run their tournaments without any modifications to their games, like UCF and so forth. They demand that organizations post on the Nintendo Versus account, and they demand that the streams for these events run as for Nintendo games. All in exchange for Nintendo slapping their logo onto the tournament and offering them no financial support whatsoever. It's actually really sad. Nintendo pretends that they care, but they really don't. They want to leech money off of tournaments. They want to leech money off of the participants, which means they want, if you're entering these partnered events, they're leeching money off of you. So now Nintendo is cease and desisting the Big House for running an online mod of Melee during a pandemic when currently it's the only safe way for people to play the game with each other. Now, Nintendo is technically within their rights to do this because it's their IP. They can do what they want with it. But the problem here is that they claim Slippi requires illegally downloaded copies of the game, right? Here's the thing, though. Melee just turned 19. Nintendo doesn't even sell the game anymore. The only legal way to get the game is to buy it off of somebody else. And here's the other thing. Emulation is perfectly legal as long as you dumped your own copy of the game and your copy of the game doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that's the only way it becomes actually legal. Now, there are a lot of illegally downloaded copies of Melee. There are plenty of sites where you can download copies of Melee. Those are definitely illegal. I'm not going to pretend they aren't. But I'm sure that a lot of the people currently playing Slippi, especially the top players, they definitely already own legal copies of the game. And there's no way for Nintendo to prove that they don't anyway. So technically, Nintendo might not even have a legal basis for this cease and desist. What Nintendo could theoretically do is just shut down all the sites where you can illegally download Melee. I'd be perfectly fine with that. That's okay. I could still buy Melee off of somebody and crack my own copy of it and download the ROM or the ISO from there. That'd be perfectly fine. But what's not okay is saying that the Melee community can't play Melee online, their favorite game that they're so passionate about, when Nintendo is offering us no other way to legally play it. And their main Smash title, Ultimate, which they're trying to sell, and they're claiming this is taking money away from, probably, has one of the single worst experiences of any modern fighting game, bar none. It's not even a contest. Nintendo Online, the online experience for Ultimate is so bad and behind every other fighting game. You need to pay $20 for embarrassingly bad delay-based netcode and 5 frames of input delay baked in. It's so sad. Everybody complains about it. Nobody likes it. There's a big metagame difference between offline and online. It's why does this AAA company not understand how modern fighting game netcode works? So to close out my thoughts here, Nintendo, I have to ask you, why are you so unwilling to accept that competitive Smash is a thing? I know it's not the way you intend the game to be played. That's okay. You can say that we don't want you guys to play the game this way because we meant it to be a party game, right? But here's the deal, Nintendo. Smash would literally not survive. Your game, your party game, your fighting game, Super Smash Bros. Would not survive at all if not for the competitive Smash scene. The fact is, the majority of the active Super Smash Bros. Player base is competitive. It might not be the majority of sales, but it is most definitely the majority of active players. The reason Smash is still talked about by casual players is that these casual players see all the clips and reaction videos and compilations and stuff from pro competitive Smash players. Even the most casual of Smash fans, I mean, I know from experience because of the competitive gaming club at my college, I know from experience that most casual Smash players know who people like MKLeo and Hungrybox and Mango and ESAM are, and Mewtwo King. So Nintendo, you know these players exist. You know this community exists. You know that is thriving without your help, right? They literally give you free advertising for the game, and they are driving people to want to play the game and buy it and give you money. So why are you so unwilling to give back to the community that is doing this for you? Nintendo, look, it's fine if this isn't the way you intend Smash to be played, but you have to understand that this is not going away anytime soon. Competitive Smash has been a thing for 2 whole decades now, and we don't intend to stop playing it competitively anytime soon. The competitive Smash community has fought through every single attempt by you guys to destroy them. They've been doing it for such a long period of time, and they're not going to stop just because you want to cease and desist online events in the middle of a pandemic because they're playing an online version of the game that you made 19 years ago that isn't even giving you money anymore. So I ask you, the viewer, make as much noise as possible about this. Really, we need to spread the word. We need to make Nintendo wake up and know that this can't happen anymore. We're not going to stand for it any longer. I need you to tweet out Free Melee, Save Smash, those 2 hashtags. Just make posts about it on whatever social media site. Make a YouTube video like I'm doing right now. I mean, this video is way too long already, but still. Let Nintendo know that we're not going to stand for them killing the competitive Smash scene and doing all these other anti-consumer practices that they've been getting away with all this time. We're not going to stand for it any longer. They have actively tried to kill Smash for far too long, and we need to put a stop to it. And if you can, hold off on getting Nintendo games for Christmas. I know how much you want to get, like Pikmin 3 Deluxe and Age of Calamity, but please, they're probably going to be mid anyway. And especially if you already own them for Wii U, it's like, don't even bother. And if you haven't already, don't pay for Nintendo Switch Online. Don't buy the newest Ultimate Fighter Pass. Don't buy any DLC. Don't play non-Switch exclusive games on the Switch. Just buy them for other consoles if you own them. If not, that's okay. I don't really care. But it's clear at the end of the day that Nintendo does not care about you. They do not care about their fans. They do not care about their incredibly passionate communities unless they play the way they want them to play. So if they're not going to care about us, then we're not going to care about them. That's all I have to say. thank you for watching through this very long rant, and have a nice day, and screw Nintendo.